Hi, this is Siddharth Venkatraman, and welcome to the LinkedIn Masterclass. So, before we get into the course, a little bit about myself. So, I'm Siddharth, and I'm basically a marketing and brand professional with 15 plus years of experience. And my specialty has been in building performance driven marketing programs. So, I won a lot of awards for lots of my work, and I work with both B2B as well as B2C organizations, as well as startups and really large business houses. And my core experience has been in change management and bootstrapping of marketing programs and transforming them to being uh, a really revenue generating function from being just a cost center. And my core focus has been in digital marketing and digital experience. So this is a little bit about myself. So now what we will be looking at. So now let us look at what we will go through in this training program. So what we will see is how this whole thing works. So when we say LinkedIn is not the same as you would treat a Facebook or an Instagram or probably any of your other social channels. So we need to first understand how this whole thing works. So we will be looking at that, followed by which we will look at how do we go about defining objectives and how do we arrive at that one line story of yours, which is what will define you. Okay. And then we will look at how do we optimize your LinkedIn profile so that you get found by the right people at the right time for the right kind of things. And how do you make your LinkedIn profile really a powerful lead magnet and a powerful tool. And then we will look at how do we expand your influence through a targeted connection strategy. And this is where LinkedIn is very different. So when we talk about a social media influencer, when we take an Instagram or when we take Facebook or when we take YouTube, it is about volumes. So you say millions of followers, lakhs of followers. But LinkedIn is very different. You can still be an influencer when you have just few thousand followers, and you could be an influencer within your niche or within your chosen domain, and you need not really have that many followers, but then for that you need a very targeted influence building and connection strategy, and that's what we will be looking at. And then the next most important thing is about how do we really create powerful content that adds value, and how do we create content systematically such that you are seen as a thought leader in your domain. And then finally, we will be looking at the art of non-salesy networking, which is how do you sell without directly selling? Or how do you go about nurturing till you actually can make a sale? So basically, how do you sell without being seen as a spammy person? Okay, so that's what we will look at in the art of non-salesy networking. So this is basically the structure of the course. Now, what I would like each one of you to absorb or understand is a personal branding, or personal branding is not about just having a social channel or a social media channel or a website or something like that. It is the entire process of identifying, building, and amplifying your reputation, okay, and sticking to it. And each one of us is a personal brand. Each one of us is unique, right? So you are a unique person. So we need to really identify what is our uniqueness and really play to our strengths. So personal branding is about that. And each one of us need to believe that we are ourselves a personal brand. The next important thing is LinkedIn is not an online resume. It's not just there for you to use it when somebody is looking for a job. It's a reputation. People come and look at it, people make judgments, and the quality of content you post on it really matters. Okay, it's a place where you can build your reputation. So you need to look at it from that point of view and not as an online resume. So now let us look at how the LinkedIn game works. So it's basically a four-step process. So it is about how do we establish your brand, and then how do you find the right people, how do you engage well informed with them in a meaningful way, in a value adding way, and then how do you build relationships. So this is basically the four-step process in which this whole LinkedIn works, and that's how your LinkedIn game eventually becomes a very powerful platform. Okay, so the whole process behind this. And what I'm going to show you right now is not just for LinkedIn, it's for any kind of marketing activity This is very, very important. The first one is please understand yourself. So, especially if you're trying to build a personal brand, or if you're an independent consultant trying to build an identity for yourself, or you work for an organization and you're trying to reach to your prospects, even that case, you need to be very, very clear about your strengths and your weaknesses. So, the first part of any such activity is understanding yourself. The next one is understanding your business. So this is more specifically for people who are working in other organizations and you don't own the business. You need to understand your entire business model and not just the function in which you're operating. You need to understand how that whole business ecosystem works. The third important thing, and this is holds good for everyone, is understand your customer. So at times I see that even startups, the founders of startups, at times they are so solid about their product. They know their product very well, but at times they don't know their customer that well. So as a matter of fact, or to be very honest, even though they may have a very, very technically sound product, at times it doesn't sell because they have not really understood their customer well. So it's very, very important that you understand your prospects. What are their pain points? And how is your product or solution helping them? And understanding them beyond that as well, not just as a buyer of your product, but as an individual. You need to understand them in a much deeper way. The next one is about, based on all this, you need to build your story, which is what makes your whole LinkedIn game very powerful. Okay, or for that matter, any marketing program powerful is building that story which sells. And then, specifically in terms of LinkedIn, is then putting your LinkedIn profile in order. You need to understand all these things and put your LinkedIn profile properly in place. And this is where the LinkedIn profile optimization piece will come into picture. And when you put all these things and then that's fed into your LinkedIn profile optimization, it becomes very powerful. And then put a process in place. And here you need not get bogged down. And process means you don't need to think big stuff. Okay. All I'm saying is you need to have a systematic way in which you work, a systematic way in which you close the loop, a systematic way in which you perform activities. So that you need to put in place so that there's a discipline and a consistency. And then add value to your community. Again, this is how in LinkedIn, even though you may not have millions of followers, even if you're operating in a niche segment, if you are able to add value to that select audience, you will become an influencer eventually. Okay, add value, contribute, give a lot of free stuff. Free stuff means I'm not talking about gifts, about knowledge. Just don't hold anything back. Contribute, share your knowledge with people, and that's how you build your tribe, and that's how you build your influence. And then networking and nurturing. So how do you network with people? How do you gradually build them up and then make them into your customer and not directly going and pitching a proposal to them? And then it's about sales. Take it offline and convert it, or take it to your online platform. If you're an e-commerce portal, take it to your online platform and convert it. And then finally, it's about advocacy. How do you get your customers? How do you get your people or people who have worked with you? How do you get them to talk about you and build your case? And how do they help you build your brand? So this is basically the process which powers the game of marketing. And the same holds good for LinkedIn as well. So now what we will be doing is we will be getting into the LinkedIn Funnel Accelerator program, which is part of the LinkedIn Masterclass. And the first thing which we'll be doing is we'll be looking at module 1.